everybody, welcome back to the AlexCloud2275 stream. Hope you're all doing well this fine day. I'm doing good. Ready and raring to bring you another fantastic episode of Final Fantasy XVI for my gaming pleasure and your viewing pleasure. First things first, read the 1,000 Tomes. Barnabas' mother, one of the few surviving descendants of the children of Dasmek, who fled from Valisthea and took refuge in the outer continent, only to return generations later. She and her clan were devout believers in the Circle of Malice, whose teachings still instilled in her son's teachings and memories that he treasured to this day. Alas, her beliefs were also to prove her downfall, as she was killed in a raid by the followers of a rival religion. Moss the Chronicler, far-fabled scholar of Asteria, history of it and legend. When Hippocrates was but a boy, Moss visited his village on the outer continent, perhaps seeing something in himself and the young scholar-to-be. The great master took him under his wing. However, their time together was soon to come to an end, for one day Moss and his journal were gone, leaving nothing but a note behind, which read, "Seek knowledge." The young Hippocrates took these words to heart. Dasmek Falls is a vast circular cavity carved into the Dalmacian coast. It is here the mother crystal known as Dasmex once stood in the Age of the Fallen. Man, hoping to reclaim the power of the gods, laid siege to the crystal in an attempt to gain entry to the ether-rich heart. Rather than attempt to fend off the assault, he instead responded by destroying the mother crystal and its heart, and the great crater left behind stands as a reminder of man's hubris. The continent. A vast landmass situated far from Vasteria's shores. Aside from the most intrepid traders, few have been known to brave the journey there and back, for which reason the characters and customs of its people remained mysterious to most. Legend claims that the remains of the fallen fled thither from the twins when their civilization collapsed, but even the most bookish continental would be hard-pressed to explain what became of them and in the intervening millennium. Drake's Horn, a mother crystal which stood in southern Ash area, now lost to the Plight. The fall of Drake's Horns left Drake's Spine the only mother crystal on the continent, and sparked a decades-long conflict for the control of this ethereal bounty. After much bloodshed, it was the erstwhile nation of Veldemark which finally subjugated the warring tribes of Ash and established a kingdom around what is now Stornhir. Wars of the Magi. Many great conflicts waged near the end of the Fallen, in which mankind fiended fanatical clockwork armies fueled by powerful magics, fought for control for the mother crystals. This, however, worked to hasten the drain of their ether from the land and thereby giving rise to the Blight. By the time the fighting had ceased and peace was restored, the wounds suffered by both humanity and the land had grown too deep to heal, and civilization began its slow yet inevitable march into the darkness. It was only a matter of winters before the 1,000 years of knowledge used to build the great Magitech faded and was eventually lost to history. Okay. The Circle of Malice is an ancient religion from which the most recent savior cults grew. Its beliefs were originally drawn from the murals left behind by the people who lived near the Mother Crystal Dasmesics. But while at one point it was faith followed through to Vasteria's time and fading memory of the ancient culture spawned it, saw it gradually fall from favor. The Inner Sanctum, sacred chambers in which the hearts of the Mother Crystals are enshrined, erected far before the time of the Fallen, when humanity was still in its infancy. Their original purpose was to simply provide protection for the fragile cores. As time passed, however, they slowly transformed into places of worship. Echoes are the strange clockwork constructions are encountered in the Fallen Ruins. They were once only ever found protecting such structures, but in the aftermath of the protogenesis, beneath the blackened sky, they emerged from the ruins at last, and they can now be seen all over Vasteria. Though widely assumed to be the vestiges of fallen civilizations, it seems they were in fact originally servants of Ultima, created by him in a time lost to memory, and that was only long years after of scavenging wreckage from the fallen ruins that they took their current form. Since Ultima's reawakening, they have been guided by his will and his will alone.
You wish to study the tomes?
Yeah, might as well. Clive Rosfield as Mythos, the dominant of the second Echoing Fire. Ifrit, unlike the other dominants, Clive has the curious power to absorb the icons from their hosts and wield their strength as his own. This being known as Ultima's appearance to crave the same power, identifying Clive as Mythos, a vessel for power unlimited. However, Clive refuses to surrender himself to Ultima's will, making this godlike being another enemy in his fight to build a world where people can live on their own terms. Joshua Rosfield, united against Ultima, dominant of the Phoenix and younger brother of Clive. His research into Ultima culminated that the creature's true form is one and other the same of Ifrit Risen. The creature that he and his brother transformed to in the skies of the crystalline dominion. His grips of the creature sealed away inside himself by the altar at Drake's head, ever fading. He swears to stand with Clive and fight their fate until the end. Dion Lesage, dominant of Bahamut, Warden of Light, knowing all too keenly how Ultima's machinations are ushering the world to the doom after the events of Twinside, Dion pledges his allegiance to Clive and Joffrey of Washfield, arriving on the Enterprise just in time to ride to the brothers' rescue in Storm Hero. Saphir Harbour, loyal commander of King Waleed's armies, he was in fact a magical creation of Odin, and when his master Prime, Saphir, followed, taking the form of Echion's six-legged steed, the Echions, but an EGI cannot exist without its icon, and when Bahamut died, so soon did he. So he was his horse. King of Waleed, atop Revere, King of Waleed, Odin of Darkness, scion of the tribe that crossed the sea to Vasteria from the southern continent many centuries before. Barnabas, renamed a zealot, adhered to the ancient religion, the Circle of Manus. Tasked by his god Ultima to assist in the perfection of his vessel, Barnabas put Mythos to the test, at last judging Clive worthy and surrendering his strength to him in his dying breath. Blackthorn, Reconciliation. Originally from Drazox, the far-flung desert wastes in Dalmeka, where he and Zoltan both apprenticed. After an ether flood filled nearby mines in the town and was set upon by Akashic beasts, he rode to Dravok's defense, settling the bad blood between them once and for all. Together he and Zoltan forged the Ragnarok, the legendary blades whose design was bequeathed to them by Master Falcon. Doris, in the shadow of the slave trade, captain of the Curse Breakers who directed the Bearers' liberating operations. Doris was raised by a Rosarian slave master who treated her branded charges as if they were her own children, teaching them how to read, write, and wield a blade before hiring out their services to the highest bidder. Though Doris resents her former master for the terrible deeds she made her do, she thanks her for making a strong, sculptorous woman that she is today. Owen is one of Mid's assistants, tasked with bringing to life her designs for the new inventions that might assist the residents of the Hideaway in their day-to-day lives, and one day, perhaps, all the people of the Twins. Philippe, fighting for Northreach, is a former Imperial soldier of the Northreach garrison who left his post after the Duke of Oriflame took over. He elected instead to form a new town watch, and that he might better protect the town and those he loves. Isabel, chief among them, after reading the defense of Northreach against the Throng of Falls, he reconciles with the Duke, and they pledge to combine their forces to see the town safe. Okay. Victor, friend of Clive's cause, who keeps an ever-attentive vigil among those going-ons in Dalmec after being caught up in the bandits' raid in Dalmec during the excursion of the famous markets, lending Clive and Lumbo his aid in bringing the townspeople together, began making regular visits, becoming firm friends with Lumbo, and earning the trust of their townspeople. Forge master of the Brian's Crest and the finest smithy in Dalmec, known to those as the Desert Hare, from whose long years no secret is safe. The leadership he displays in dealing with the bandits' attacks led to him being proposed to the prime candidate to become the new mayor, but when the townspeople discovered he was a bearer, they elected to drive him out of town instead. Eloise is the owner of the Crimson Caravan and highly esteemed proteage firm in Buckland. Eldest child to the heir apparent of the successful Canvas trading house, Eloise abandoned her birthright in order to save a younger brother, Theodore, whose parents would have been branded after his powers awakened. After his powers awakened. After Theodore lost his life before her eyes, she swore to continue the work to free the bearers, that his death would not be in vain. Martha, landlady of the Golden Stables and the tavern at the heart of Martyrus, her efforts to save the bearers from a band of thralls began before she met Sid. And like him, she dreamed of a world where bearers can live in their own terms. To this end, she nourishes the seeds of a better world that she and the Guardians of the Flame have planted in Eastpool. Theodore, porter and guard of the Crimson Caravans, the porterage firm that he runs with his beloved sister, Eloise. Theodore lost his life due to his own blade after being taken by the Aether Flood whilst protecting the haven they built for bearers from a rampaging dragon, wishing his sister had a long and happy life with his final breaths. Drika is an orphan who lost her parents to the Ironblood's most recent crusade. She fled towards Dalmil, finding a new family in the Wrens, a fellow orphan. Along the way, the two were starving on the wayside when Labor found them and took them in, aiding her new elder brother to the patriotic family. She's a kind and caring soul who enjoys nothing more than listening in on conversations with the townspeople, whether they know it or not. Orphan who lost his parents in the crusade, fled towards Dalmil, finding a new family in Drika, a fellow orphan along the way. Two were starving in the way, so when the Labor took them in, aiding the new elder brother to the patchwork family. He is frank and forceful soul who enjoys nothing more than watching the townspeople at work and helping them with their tasks, whether they need it or not. Zoltan is the chief of Dalmek Smithing Town, Drazovich, whose skill in etching metals far eclipses Blackthorn's own. After the latter aided Zoltan and his town in the overcoming the twin threats, an absence of ether that rendered their forges useless, Sophia all unleashed an Akashic horde against the gates, and the two reconciled, gaining a newfound admiration for each other's talents. Jyoti, a member of the Undying, a secret society sworn to protect the serve of the rust fields of Rosaria, and a dominant of the Phoenix who is always born in their line. While it was her sworn duty to serve and protect Joshua Rustfield, her true feelings for him run far deeper. Even after Joshua relieved her of her obligation to protect him and tasked her to protect Clive's hideaway instead, she still worries for the sickly prince's health. Sir Wade, a loyal shield of the Rosaria, leader of the Guardians of the Flame, who fights to see the duchy restored. In Eastpool, he finds a new purpose, to not merely lead his guardians against the enemies, but lead his village in pursuit of a brighter future for man and bearer both. And then, following the destruction of Twinside, first and foremost of the 5 cardinals who made up the Council of Elders, second only to the Holy Emperor in the Imperial Government, after the fall of the Crystalline Dominion and the collapse of said government, His Eminence reappeared in Northreach. Now going by his noble title, the Duke of Oriflamme, he drafted both soldiery and the common folk into his plans to turn the town into the new capital of a new Sambrak. Sabine, only daughter of the Duke of Oriflamme, who escaped from the disaster at Twinside and took refuge in Northreach. Her extensive education in all matches, spiritual and political, as well as her overbearing demeanour, rival that of her father. Her opinion on the Duke's plan to fortify Northreach at the townspeople's expense, however, differs from him greatly, and she attempts to enjoin Isabella's help to rally the people against him. Brian is the younger brother of the late Archduke Elwyn, warden of Port of Visital. Though he kept his head low during the dark days of the imperial rule of Rosaria, now that Empress Annabella is dead and his nephews returned from the grave, he strikes out once more to enlist the old friend Eugene Howell, Dalmatian Field Marshal, to Clive and Joshua's cause. Sir Terence at the sack of Randella, second in command of the Druids. Terence is both Prince Dion's faithful bodyguard and his lover. He joined the prince in his ill-starred coup in the Crystalline Dominion after somehow surviving the disaster that followed. He went with him again to the Randella. It was here that Dion finally released Terence from his service, begging him to care for the orphan girl named Kirill. that those whom he is indebted to might be spared further danger. Eugene Havel, former Field Marshal of the Dalmatian Republic. While there was a time he took personal command of his troops, Hugo Kupta's rise to prominence led to his being recalled from the battlefield by reasons of his advanced age. However, it was the battlefield that was returned to him when the horde of Akashic attacked Rendella. With the ministries either stupefied or slain, he was left with no option but to coordinate its defense. Kithiel is an orphan girl who pays for her bread by making and selling medicines. Her travels took her from Dalmek to the Crystalline Dominion, where she nearly lost her life when the city was all but destroyed by Bahamut. After the flames died down, she labored to mend the wounds of the injured townspeople, eventually coming across the collapsed Dion, whom she nursed back to health. Ultima, within the Interdimensional Wrist. One of the race of ancient godlike beings, it was their creation of magic that led to the rise and spread of the Blight. The few survivors of their race fleeing to the unspoiled lands of Hysteria to attempt to remake the world. For this, they created the Mother Crystals to harvest large amounts of ether and sow the seeds of humanity that might one day produce a vessel strong enough to channel it, and that the humans would one day develop worlds of their own they did not foresee. The Republican Prime Minister, the leader of the Dalmek Parliament, not seen since the collapse of the Republican government, following the death of Kupta and the fall of Fang. Whether he was killed in the chaos or fled to save his own skin, no one knows. Edda is a young woman with a child who made her home in the Waladian village of Hysteria. After the Archy-sky spread across the land, her fellow villagers turned Akashic and departed for Revere, leaving her alone, afraid, in hiding. By fortune, she was found by Clive and Gav, who took her back to safety of the hideaway. It is the speculation that this reason that she survived because the child growing inside her is a bearer, and thus more able to resist the effects of ether. Cool. Lay of the land. Vasteria, Hidden Truths, a realm comprising of the twin continents of Storm and Ash, over which the Mother Crystals which once stood vigil countless eons ago. Ultima arrived here, fleeing the blight that devoured his homeland, and resolved to rebuild the world and usher in a new final age of pure reason. It was he who placed the Mother Crystals in each corner of the land, that they might harvest the ether needed to achieve his end. The Dalmek Republic. Republic on the brink. A nation formed of the Federation of 5 smaller states. It is located in the southern half of the continent of Storm. And its capital, Rendella, after the fall of Drake's Fang, a combined force came perilously close to destroying what little of the order remained. However, thanks to the intervention of Prince Dion Lesage and Sebrek and his Knights of the Dragoon, the disaster was averted at the last moment. Just taking a small second, guys. Still closhing my clothes. I'll be back. Alright. Thanks for your patience, guys. Randella, the capital of the Dalmatian Republic. It was once a great and thriving hub of commerce where the merchants gathered from all across Valisthea. People enjoyed a life of peace and prosperity under the guidance of the new Parliament of Ministers, who oversaw the nation's affairs from the safety of the Ministry of Law. Since Ultima brought about Protogenesis, however, Randella's streets have been all but abandoned. However, to the Akashic Warlodian soldiers and beastmen out for the hunt for flesh. Drake's Spine is the mother crystal that towered over Stormhur, capital of the Kingdom of Waloed. The fall of Drake's tail has meant that for a brief moment it was the last remaining crystal in Valisthea. That moment, however, ended abruptly when the spine fell following Clive's otherworldly struggle with Ultima. The fall of Drake's Spine. In the year 878, the Wallodian capital of Stormhur, already besieged by Akashic beastmen, was rocked even further by the destruction of its mother crystal Drake's Spine at the hands of Sid the Outlaw and his companions. Valdemark, formerly the most powerful kingdom in Ash until Barnabas Thar led his armies in rebellion against the rule established by his own kingdom of Waloed upon its still smoking ruins. Ravenwit's Wall. Ravenwit's Wall is the towering rampart that fills the narrow valley betwixt two adjacent peaks, creating a nigh impenetrable barrier that serves to protect the royal capital of Stormhur from armies that might attempt to approach from the southwest. Once manned by a garrison of hundreds, the wall's now empty for a handful of orcs and those beasts of war that managed to escape their pens. The Kingdom of Waloed, the sole surviving nation in Ash, shortly after the death of Barnabas Fan, Scions of Demazix and Cat's Paws of Ultima, Drake's Spine, were shattered, leaving the capital of Stormhur without a mother crystal and a king. Stormhur, capital of Waloed, located by the coast of Friggs Calm, Ashen's northwestern bay. Its mother crystal Drake's Spine was eventually destroyed by Sid and his allies, but by this time the city had already been lost. Its leader perished atop a distant spire, its citizens reduced to mindless thralls, and its streams claimed by orcs and masterless beasts. The Gillahorn is an aging fortress in the western reaches of the Kingdom of Waleed. Similar to those other constructs across Valisthea, they keep appearing to have built on the site of ancient ruins, and it was an underground chamber, not unlike Phoenix Gates or Dortotary, that fully intact rendition of Ultima's Echion Pantheon was discovered. The Royal Knights of Waloed and the Kingdom of Waloed main battle forces, also known as the King Carrots, Ultima's insurrections. Barnabas supplemented his rank with orcs, creating a hybrid force, which he duly dispatched to wreak havoc across Valisthea. After the casting of Protogenesis, however, the better part of the king's army was doomed to end their days as mindless Akashic thralls. Asteria is a settlement situated in mining town. Basic information. Settlers situated in mining town in the center of Waloed. The miners make homes among their excavations and live there with their families. The miners made homes among their excavations and lived there with their families. However, with the advent of the Archie, the residents disappeared and now the village is all but deserted. River. All and possibly tall tower in central Waloed that seems to pierce the very heavens. The few followers of the Circle of Matis remaining on Ash believe it to have been built by the gods, who would one day pass their final judgment from its heights. It has long since been considered hallowed ground whereupon the mortals fear to tread. Crystalline Dominion. We were following the emergency of origin. Prince Dion Lesage. Not long afterwards, Twinside Buckle's inhabitants were subject to further misfortune when the fall of the Falm's final mud of crystal Drake's Spine caused an ancient construct to rise from beneath the city, sowing death and devastation in its wake and effectively decimating its already reduced populace. Silverpeak Consortium were one of the largest and most prestigious trading houses in all of Dalmec, who sought to scout Eloise in their mercantile operations extending far beyond the borders of the Republic. Eloise learned when they stepped in at the last moment to purchase the bearers from which she and the Crimson Caravans had long been bargaining with the army and sell them onto the traders from the outer continent. In truth, They had been interested in the trade from the very start, and only withheld making their own offers as a courtesy to Eloise, one that was rescinded after she failed to respond positively to their offers. The interdimensional rift is a place beyond space and time, termed both rift between worlds and our darkness by its creator, Ultima. Clive and Johnson were forcibly summoned here as the mad deity, that they might reflect upon their transgressions, hidden truths. By the mad deity, ventured too close to the heart of the Drake's spine. Upon fighting their way free, the pair emerged to find that their victory over Ultima had resulted in the shattering of the Mother Crystal. Origin is a vast structure that lay dormant beneath the crystalline dominion for countless centuries. When Ultima's scheme reached its final stages, it was summoned from the depths, sowing untold destruction and leaving oblique black skies in its wake. It eerily resembles a Mother Crystal. And where did I miss one? Left off, a small Namekian village of the bean farmers and goat herds built in the shadow of the fallen ruins, though located at the edge of the fields of Cordova on a caravan trail that runs through Titan's Wake. To the three cities of Canva, it was historically received few visitors, as most Americans choose instead to take the least perilous, gilded path north. It receives even fewer than it has plagued the lives of the most resilient. And there's another one I'm missing. The Undying, a secretive order that once served Lord Rosefield from the shadows. They revere the mighty Phoenix as its dominant, and once presided over the rights of ancestral communion at Phoenix Gates. Few outsiders to the order know of its existence, even among the highest ranking members of the Rosarian nobility. Their loyalty to his grace, Joshua Rosefield, is absolute, and none among them would hesitate to lay down their lives for his sake. At his command, their efforts are currently devoted to uncovering the truth behind the mysterious being known as Ultima. More on the Mother Crystals. All the same, leeching ether of Earth. Clive and Joshua learned that they were planted there by Ultima for that very purpose, and that the creature might accumulate enough ether to cast a supremely powerful spell that one would remake the world. Magic, the art of channeling ether to make one's imagination manifest. Bearers and dominants can cast magic without a crystal, but this comes at a cost. Relative to the amount of ether channeled, the crystal's curse that petrifies their flesh. For this reason, Ultima incorporated incorporeal form prevents him from casting the supremely powerful spell to which he means to remake the world, and so he seeks a vessel strong enough to withstand the torrents of ether required. A vast ethereal dome created by King Barnabas, though using the power of the Echion Odin. It's not only capable of repelling assaults from both corporeal and magical, but also consume any who might endeavour to pass across its bounds. Spanning from the mining settlement of Esteria in the south to Frigg's Calm in the north, the barrier effectively blocks any approach to Waloed capital of Stormia for 100 leagues. A vast ethereal dome created by King Barnabas. Using the icons Odin, it was not only capable of repairing assaults from both corporeal and magical, but consumed any who would endeavour, spanning for hundreds of leagues until it eventually fading following the king's passing. Okay. The Deadlands are the barren wastes where the aether has dried up entirely and no longer gives life to the land. Not only does it render all magic unusable, but the grounds and the water are stained darkest black, and not even the smallest seedling grows. Little to the knowledge of most Valistherians, the spreading of the blight is in fact driven by the mother crystals that drain away the land's ether for ultimate ends. Though beings flew to Valistheria to escape the blight, overuse of magic by the human civilization that followed only succeeded in despoiling the last unblemished land. The Unbranded. Most bearers are identified as soon as after birth and marked with a slave brand, but fortunate few are not and remain unbranded. An unbranded bearer can live like any other man or woman so long as they're not for magic. remains a closely guarded secret. Should it be revealed, however, they are denounced as liars and impostors and dealt the severest punishments. Ancient mural. Walloonian stronghold of Gilhorn, and learns that the figure thought to be Ultima is in fact the Ifrit risen, Ifrit and the Phoenix united as one. Great beasts, behemoths and fanfarons of the realm, large dangerous beasts who all others bow. These creatures ruled for generations as the kings of great forests and tall peaks, only to be driven from their homes by the blight and forced into unwelcome contact with humanity. They tend to have little tolerance for ethereal exposure, so it's common for them to turn Akashic on the merest contact with an ether flood. More Akashic is an irreversible change. Ultima's casting proper gestures turns mankind's directly gifted Barnabas his Akashic army, and with the despair they sought to strip the wills of the rest, making them in his eyes pure. Then Ultima's thralls unmasked, soulless autonomo largely composed of ether, who only drive to see that their creator's will is done. They appear all over Valisthea after Ultima brought Pumpkin to Genesis. The skies in the realm felt dark. Slave traders, those who make their coin buying and selling bearer slaves. While the trade is highly regulated, a slave is a valuable asset, so there's a thriving market in stolen and unregistered bearers. Doris's former master was such a black market trader who trained or abducted charges as killers for hire, knowing that if the branded was caught in the act, their ownership records would not lead to the constabulary at her door. Geisha greens are a leafy vegetable loved by chocobos, such as the bird's attractions to their scent. Traders who transport them by the wagon load must seal the boxes tight, lest they should find themselves accosted by a flock of wild boys on the road. Though most geisha greens are grown for chocobo fodder, they can be eaten by humans too, provided one trims away the toughest fibers and boils the fleshy leaves in salt water until soft. Journal of Moss, Joshua's findings. In the Annals of Moss the Chronicler, a scholar of that area history, indeed Moss' journal is one of the few history he speaks at length at the ancient circle of Malleus, and the creature they worshipped as their god Ultima. Both Moss and his journal were removed from the public life at the insistence of the rival scholars, but Joshua's request that the Undying were able to track down a copy of the prized tome. Logos, where Ultima rises as mythos to describe the vessel that is long awaited, one which he can pour his soul and cast the supreme spell. Logos indicates its blasphemous form, a vessel over which the will of another has a complete claim, making itself a false god. Sin. In Ultima's eyes, mankind's greatest sin is the awakening of free will. His servants strayed from the path of their creator laid out for him, forging their own. However, Clive contends that this is a sin by which Ultima is equally sustained, and indeed, if humanity is Ultima's creation, does not that every action, every emotion stem from him? In the New World, the paradise that Ultima seeks to summon into creation, 1/3 of the blight that almost ended his race, though Barnabas believed he and his fellow faithful will be allowed to join the deity there, he was mistaken. Only Ultima and his kin shall have the place in the new paradise, a paradise freed not only from the bite, but of humanity. And then the Arche. The dark ill omens unleashed when Ultima brought about Pronogenesis. The word Arche is used only on Ash, where the coming of the cursed skies have long been foretold to be the harbinger of the end of all things. Ifrit risen. Its appearance closely resembles that of Ultima as depicted in the ancient morals of the Circle of Malthus. Could this be the final true form of the vessel Ultima requires to remake the world? Odin is the warden of the darkness. His latest dominant bonus, a man scholar believed to be the descendant of the ancient motes of the darkness, within whose line all ornaments of Odin were born. However, they have yet been unable to prove this point on the account of no record of any Odins before Bonus 4 have come to light. The Infernal Echion, a form long since discarded by Ultima that brings to mind Ifrit, The Echion manifested by Clive. It is seemingly incomplete, lacking as it does the wings of being created when Clive and Joshua combined the powers of Ifrit and the Phoenix. Interdimensional Ultima. In order to further test the strength of the vessel Mythos, Ultima lured both Clive and Joshua deep into the shadowy depths of his fractured mind, where he faced the brothers clad in the remains of his erstwhile flesh, the infernal Echion. Orcs. Under new leadership, a species of beastmen native to Ash, though they were fighting alongside Beluvian forces in both Dalmek and the Free Cities of Akanva, the death of King Varner saw a shift in their allegiances, and they now bend their knee to Ultima and no other. Oof. Chimeras. There we go. There might exist a creature that's so terrible, so twisted that the Triselphia horror that is the Chimera is a striking reminder of the madness of whatever deity first whispered them into life. Not only the wings of a demon, but both astonishingly aggressive and adept at the manipulation of ether. They also are able to wield their influence over other beasts, commanding them like a field marshal might his regulars. Fortunately, they are only seen rarely, and only in the deepest deserts of Dalmacia. And behemoths, towering agents of destruction known for their destructive dual horns and roar that can topple the mighty heavens. Simply the mention of one has been known to instill the fear in the hearts of even the most seasoned warriors, and as such, few ever venture to hunt these beasts of legend, leaving them to roam the blackened hills of Ash undisturbed. That is, save the few the royal army had somehow remarkably managed to fetter and tame for the deployment of in the front lines of battle. Whew.
Did you learn everything you needed?
I suppose.
Sid, did you know that chocobos are far more resilient to the effects of ether than most other beasts? Some say that's one of the reasons they...
You're going somewhere, Sid? Can we come? I promise we'll be good.
Still alive, are you? Go on, then. Do us proud.
So what do I owe the honour? I'll keep the forge up.
And see if you guys got any more dialogue.
Then the crystal. What next? The advent of Great Griga herself.
I'm sure we'll be fine. Sid's back, isn't he?
I will not forget this kindness, my lord. I shall go to Eastport, but as soon as the rebuilding work is complete...
Well, we got missive wires. The Telemon Maid. Thanks again for helping get the dungeon in order. Had you not rowed gallantly to our rescue, Eric and Port Owen, and then Lot would still be suckling still Blightwater over a bonnet. Over a bonnet. There's always room for improvement though, so don't get your knickers in a knot should I come a knocking at your chamber door looking for more spheres and ash and whatnot. Mid. A new life. While the going was slow and not without the occasional run-in with some straggling orc, I saw Ada back safely to the Shadow Coast, where Mid was waiting kindly with the Enterprise on the voyage home. I like to think poor lass opened up a bit, telling me about her life and the life she wants for her baby, but I suppose it's up to us now to make certain the little one gets it. Gav.
I did it, Sid. I made friends with all the animals in the hideaway. But you know what I'd really like? My own goblin. Or maybe a marble, or a bomb. Only if it was a big one. That or a bander curl, but not a cactuar. They're too prickly.
Speaking of that, I haven't seen a cactuar in this game yet.
Maybe Karen has seen our shelves haven't gone bare.
Yes, but how long will it last?
This should tide us over until the new moon.
few more of these, and the Deadlands will seem less dead.
These flowers are beautiful. Pity we have to boil them all down to make medicine.
I'll see that you're properly watered and manured, Martel. For as long as I'm able.
Found a way.
You needn't worry about the backyard, Sid. We're here, so you don't have to be.
Do you think Sid will tell us about his adventures in Ash?
I doubt it. I heard he's leaving again. Well, then maybe when he gets back.
Whatever should I write next?
A love story, perhaps?
But with a happy ending, of course.
When you return, would you mind teaching the children another lesson? They did so enjoy your last.
You know, I'd give anything to follow you up there to that crystal. Give me a few more years and I might even be able to take you there myself.
That crystal certainly don't bode well. But just think of all the secrets it must hold. Here, if you're planning on going up there, you could bring a bit back for me, could you?
So, one moment you think you've freed the realm from her fate. The next, a darker one rears up to replace it. What awaits us when we finally attain release? True freedom? Or something else entirely?
Do you suppose it's magic keeping the thing afloat?
What else could it be?
All this time, my heart has wandered hither and thither in search of the perfect companion. When all along he was here, standing right beside me. All this time, my heart has wandered hither and thither in search of the perfect companion.
You'd be surprised that En's mother is willing to go for her child.
Standing right beside me.
Until the skies have cleared, more and more will fall to its curse. I will do what I can, but...
Thank you, my lord, for taking me in. Everyone here has been so kind. It reminds me of home.
Take as long as you need, Clive. Just don't take too long, eh?
Clive. What is it that you wish to learn? One must understand one's place in the world.
Invasion of Rodala. Okay. So that was quite far. Okay. Clive and Joshua return to the hideaway and share what they have learned of Ultima's true ambition with their allies. Together they swear to fight him to the end, and a new world might be created, not Ultima's, but one where creation can finally live on their own terms.
I have the details here.
Our work is not yet done, my Lord and Savior. Time to build a new world. This conscious that buys and thus his will. Our vessel approaches completion. Savage strand of conflict. Consciousness. Deal. Let's sweep all of Asteria into the abyss. Place my dragoons at your command. Promise me that you'll be safe. Always repay my debts. He is bold and as daring as his nephew. One can judge the man by the company he keeps. It's my honour to call you comrade, my lady. You serve your master well. Fine, deputy. Thank you for welcoming me into your fellowship. I dare not show my face before him. I owe her my life. A charming child. May you live long and happy. A pleasant sort. I could not have hoped to sail with a more congenial captain. Would that he did not sing his shanties the entire journey. Fair enough. Alright. And what's your present day? So you two were in pursuit of Ultima. Final mouth of the crystal was full, I swear. Feels like an old friend already. Pray that she can find peace once more. How are you liking your new home? Beloved uncle. Fight for a world which we can live in our own terms. Ifrit and the Phoenix conjoined. Is that your true form? This fight's not over yet. His icon changes. Knew that you would keep your promise. So long as I live, you shall not have him. You forget yourself again, I trust. New home, uncle. We shall fight fate together. I owe her my life. Every day test the powers that hold him. It's an honor to know you, Lord Marquis. Would I could spent such an unfettered youth as she, innocent child. Scholar of renown, I hear. Takes great interest in my history and that my order. Is there anything else I might assist you with? Serves in silence. Takes his duty seriously. Find out how to discern whether she's mocking me. He knows many right-back jokes. Spends a lot of his time sparring. Plain to see she's a capable warrior. Helped me grow accustomed to this place. Shines as brightly as the stars. He's who made me I am today. I envy his self-possession. Pray for your safe return. If his grace forgives him, then so must I. Every day he tests the bars that hold him. Another exemplar of House Frostfield's virtue. Courage, my boy. Though I have 2 dominance for nephews, I shan't be outdone. Don't take it for granted. My nephew needs your aid. Joshua's found a rare friend in him. What good would create such a fiend as the Akashic? And he's a knight of no peril. When her child is born, we must celebrate in style. I see Clive also has a personal physician. I should have him hold my axe. Founder, what a few. Perhaps the most mercenary of this mercenary brand. Do thank Gav for all of his efforts, will you? Well done. Ah, you showed that god what's what. You seem rather taken with Joshua. Every man has a good squire. Keeps a fine library. Building Saint Sybil the Unshod, and an innocent Sir Crendel, perhaps. Strength to your armor, lady, and may the gods smile upon you. Okay, cool. Clive's gonna get you. Doesn't look so tough, but he is. Praying for you to come back safely. Let us know if you need out. Sorry about the noise. Fella Clive's gonna kill. Armor must have cost a pretty penny. On some of the crafty materials. If there's anything you need, just say the word. Everyone's got like an issue. God, my arse. Who else has got like an ultimate hate? Alright. You don't know what you're up against. Hippocrates. Circle magic worship this being as a god. And there's a face, and that's in a very long time. Mantis Chronicle safe in his hand. Spoil to help me expand my library. Whatever will she think of next? Time to face the consequences, and I believe in you. To think that demons slept beneath Twinside. My home lies in ruin thanks to him. You needn't blame yourself. The famous, nay infamous Sid the Outlaw, partner in crime. Pray that a child lives a long and happy life. A man well suited to administration. Look down on us, would you? He's got a lot of weight to bear. Do you have a hit boner for Ultima 2? No? One misstep in that cuirass would pull his highness straight to the deep. You got a hit boner for Ultima? Yes, you do. Nemesis of both Sids. Our posts do not define us. We fight for all the bearers who would have been freed from their bonds. And then, now we will claim our revenge. Alright. You have my eternal gratitude, Your Highness. Don't you dare die on me. We've work to do yet. That's cool. Right.
The state of the realm is ever-changing, Clive.
Yeah, I get that.
How are you doing? Anything catch your eye? Always something, isn't there?
Oh, I wasn't expecting you back, so. All done?
Alright. Well, that is the lore run around of this stream, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Do any likes, follows, comments, and subscribes that you may wish or want to do now in the future. I know these lore episodes were probably a bit tedious and boring to watch, but they happen. Until then, I'm going to take a break, come back to you with one more before I go to bed for the day. Thanks very much for watching.